Yes, welcome to Home Studio Q&A for another week here. This is our weekly show where I answer your questions about home and mobile recording. My name is Pete. This is Studio Live today. My goal here is to help you create, record and release your best music. We do that through tips and tricks and tutorials and live shows and podcasts and all the rest of that goodness. So if that's your kind of bag, head over to studiolivetoday.com. All the information you need about me, about the show, about the channel, about everything is going to be there. Today, we got a heap of your questions, both from throughout the week, as well as from the folks live here on YouTube and Facebook. And like always, we have a topic of the week, and this one's going to be something a bit special, a bit interesting to me, because I've been on YouTube for coming up 5 years. I know it seems like just yesterday that I started Studio Live today, but it is coming up to 5 years. So I thought I would share what I've learned in those 5 years in 5 quick points, because it's the internet and 5 is what you do, right? So let's get into this. So these are the 5 things I've learned in my 5 years on YouTube. Number 1 is that video content, sharing video content, this is relevant through YouTube, Facebook, wherever, is a two-way medium. Gone are the days where as a musician, a creator, a band, whatever, that you just put something out there and then you walk away and you go work on the next thing and you put it out. It's the same with your music. Unfortunately, or fortunately, in my view, there's two-way interaction now. So what have I learned to actually do? Well, comment responses. So when people comment on something, responding to a comment. And I still try to do this to this very day. It is much trickier now, but especially when you're starting out, if you're sharing your music, if you're creating videos and sharing content, when someone comments, when someone spends the time not only to watch it, but probably to like it and then to leave you a comment, even if your comment is just thanks and a thumbs up emoji, do it, because that's going to help you in a couple of ways. It'll make you and the person feel warm and fuzzy, and it'll mean that the next time that they see you pop up, then they're probably going to watch your content the next time around. Second part, if you don't care about the warm and fuzzies, is in a lot of the algorithms, and in YouTube in particular, the more comments and the more interaction you have, the better. So you responding to comments shows other people that you're going to respond, then they will comment. It creates this sort of momentum, and to the point where I've got videos from 3 years ago and people comment on them now simply to say, I can't believe, or as they'll usually say, brah, I can't believe you're still commenting and replying to comments from a video you put out 3 years ago. So yeah, just being a little bit different and doing that, I think has definitely helped me. That's one of my big learnings. Number 2 is to keep on point. When I started, I would make videos that were 20 minutes on how to turn on 24-bit editing, like 24-bit audio in GarageBand. I would spend a lot of time explaining things. I would explain what I was going to do. Then I was going to explain how it was important. Then I was going to explain what the end result would be once you did it. What I've learned is, especially in the education space, but even in the entertainment world, people want stuff. They want it right now. Attention spans are getting lower. So when I'm creating videos now, I sit down and think, what am I trying to do here? What's the point that I'm trying to get across? And I make sure that that's front loaded as much as possible. I don't spend 20 minutes explaining and then reveal at the end. I reveal at the front. Now, some people will say that's bad YouTube practice. I should do that teaser thing where I'm like, hang around till the end, guys, because that's where all the good information is. No, I'll just give you the information. And then for those that do want the additional stuff, I will often delve into it. So number 2, keeping on point. And I better move on before I don't take my own advice. Number 3, the quality of the message is super important. So I've learned again over time that the quality of the video itself, the production, the video, the audio, the editing, all of that is good, but that is secondary to the actual content. It's like music. You can go into a $1 million studio and record a crappy song in pristine 24-bit 192 kilohertz sound on a high-end interface with a friggin' Neve console, and it's still going to be a crappy song, yeah? It's the same with video content. It's the same with sharing. So if you're a band and you're sharing something, I would rather see crappy smartphone footage with audio of a really interesting rehearsal or a really interesting like behind the scenes of a gig or something when you're playing on a stage, rather than a highly produced slick video that's 12 minutes of just boring nothingness. So what is the message and what the quality of that message is, I think, is super important. The audio is important. Now, I just mentioned, it doesn't matter about the quality, but you know what? And yes, I'm biased, 100%, hand up, I'm biased. The quality of the audio is more important than the quality of the video. Now, feel free to jump into the comments and argue with me. I'll be down there, as we've already said. I'll respond to you. But to me, when I put a video on, if I get audio that's crackly, that's echoey, that's just like not on point, that sounds like they're talking through a tunnel, I will turn off that video, even if the video is crisp and pristine. Flip it around, I've got a very high tolerance level, and it's been proven that most people are similar to me. A high tolerance level for some slightly grainy footage or some shaky footage if the audio is on point. So I think it is really important that when you start creating videos and sharing videos, especially if you're in the audio field, if you're a band or if you're a performer and you're sharing music related videos, that your audio is as good as you can get it. Now, we're not talking, you don't need to go out and spend thousands of dollars and get perfect audio, but just better audio. And that's, again, that's the whole focus of this channel, is how do you get the best audio for the lowest cost. You know, you buy yourself a $50 USB microphone, you're going to get some pretty good audio. Spend $200 on an interface and an XLR mic, and you're going to get yourself a really nice setup and good audio for your videos. And I've already sort of covered on it, but number 5 is, what is the purpose of your video? And to me, there's really only 2 purposes of sharing any content, and that is to entertain or to educate. So again, if there's another thing, if you can think of something else that you're doing, but think of the videos you watch, think of the content that you consume, think of why you watch this show or any other show on YouTube. It's probably that it educates you or it entertains you. And hopefully what I try to do here, it doesn't always work out, is the holy grail is to do both. So if I can entertain, if we can have a bit of fun, if we can have a laugh, and at the same time you pick up a couple of tidbits of information that are going to help you with something that you're passionate about, then all the better. So every time I sit down and go, right, I'm going to create a video here, I have to stop and think, is this going to educate or entertain or both? And if it does neither, why am I producing it? I mean, sometimes it may just be, I'm a terrible vlogger. You will never see me have a vlog channel because you know what? Sometimes a day in the life of me is boring as stuff. Because sometimes things just don't happen. Sometimes there's nothing that I've got to share that is either entertaining or educational. It's just things that I did. And some people might say, hey, that's okay to share. And I like to share that sort of thing because it's for me. Totally fine. Totally dig that. I get it. But if you're thinking in terms of the end consumer, you're thinking in terms of someone that's watching your video and you're trying to create content that's going to actually be engaging, keep that in mind. Educate or entertain. And I'll give you a bonus tip here. And this is what I wanted to really reinforce. I'll save this for last, for number 6. But passion trumps experience every time, just like in music. The reason I'm talking about this on a music channel is that music and video kind of go hand in hand. All these tips you could go back, especially the audio one, all these tips you could go back and use for your audio, for your music, as well as your video. But passion trumps experience every time. There are hundreds, if not thousands, if not tens of thousands of people producing content and putting out videos and making music that have much more experience than I do. But maybe I'd like to think that I'm probably in the top 20% when it comes to passion, because I love what I do. I love creating music and I love sharing with other people everything that I'm learning about creating music. And I think that's potentially, for a lot of you, what comes through. You know that I'm not just here spreading a message that I don't believe in. Every time I say something, comes from in here. It's something that I actually believe in and that I want to share and that I want to help and, again, educate and entertain folks around music creation. So when you're starting out, remember, do something you're passionate about. We've seen it recently, like everyone jumping on bandwagons, people into cryptocurrency and cannabis and like all of these trends and all these channels that pop up. I'm like, you are not passionate about cryptocurrency. You just think that Bitcoin's going to make you $1 million. But for those that are really passionate about what they actually talk about, you can really tell, or at least I think so. So there you go, 5+1 tips if you are creating videos for YouTube. Let's dive in here to the questions of the week. We've got a few coming in here live, so why don't we flip it around? Normally we jump into the pre-questions, but because we've got folks patiently here in the live chat, why don't we jump on in and talk about that? Yes, so Jade has got a good point here. It's hard to create daily engaging content, but I'm passionate about my subject and helping people, so it's easy on that sense. Absolutely. And again, don't beat yourself up. If you do something and it misses the mark, I've done stuff that is nowhere near entertaining or engaging or even educational. And then I look back on it and I'm like, well, that was a mistake. But as we know, mistakes, learning, As long as you're learning from your mistakes, mistakes are awesome and failure is amazing. Let's jump in and take a look. We've got some questions. I've got some questions way up the top here. There's one from Lee Davies, and it's a question here that says, "Hey Pete, I know the Roland Go Mixer Pro has the ability to try to make a karaoke track by removing the singing, but would you know of another way of removing the singing from tracks?" So Lee, there is a few ways that you can approach this. There's actually a bunch of sort of websites and apps that use an algorithm that does this, and I can't remember the name off the top of my head. Jade probably will in the chat here. But if you search my name, Pete Johns Remove Vocals, there's a service. I'm blanking on the name, but basically you upload your song and it splits it out. So it uses some sort of funky AI algorithm and it splits it out into vocals, into guitars, into drums, and into others or something like that. But yeah, it does a pretty good job. Not a great job. Some of it kind of sounds like it's been processed underwater at times. So it's not ideal, but it uses basically frequency analysis to work out where each different thing sit. And especially for vocals, they normally sit in a particular range, in the mid range there, so it can usually split out and separate out the vocals. So check that one out, Lee. Just search Pete Johns and remove vocals, and there's a website. You upload your video, you upload your audio, and then you can download it. In fact, there's a few of them that do exactly the same thing. So check that one out. Hopefully that helps you out. Question here from Darren Daniluk. Is the snap to guide function missing from the latest update of GarageBand? Frustrating on my end because it's gone for me. Well, this is interesting. And I'm working on, in the next sort of 24 hours, I'm working on a video because there have been some other changes to GarageBand, either intended or unintended. I'm not quite sure, but we've seen some additional updates that we didn't know about. So Patrick over at the GarageBand Guide, shout out to you, Patrick. He showed the new sampler, which has been added to GarageBand, which is different. In fact, why don't I show you this? So there's been a few changes that we didn't know about. Now that I have updated my, have I updated my? Yeah, I did. I did it yesterday. Now that I've updated my iPad Pro, we'll just make sure I got my mouse. Yep, there we go. So there's been a few changes here. So Darren, what you're saying is the snap to guide function is missing. So that's a bit weird. So you're saying that when you're grabbing a bit of audio, so say you grab something here, it's not snapping into place like that. That's a little bit strange because it definitely still is to me. It's only when you zoom all the way in that it won't snap to grid. So don't know about that. But the other thing we're talking about that Patrick's done a video on is here in the sampler. Check this out. Look at this new shiny sampler. Yeah, it looks like this. So it's got a few different functions in here. Got my dog bark going on there. A few different functions here in the sampler, and got your pitch bend and your modulation wheel. Doesn't do a whole lot different, but it definitely looks more in line with what we're expecting to see now in the world of GarageBand. But as far as your question goes, Darren, not sure. I haven't come across any issues with snap to grid at least yet. Other folks have started having issues with things like some of the drum kits. So someone said that a tambourine was missing from a drummer track. Someone said that, I can't remember, there was another thing. That the EQ has had a facelift. I haven't even checked this one yet. Let's check it together, shall we? We'll come in here to the visual EQ. Yeah, okay. Has that been the way it's been before? Has it always had those frequency markings in there? I'm gonna grab my iPhone here, which is still yet to be updated, and we'll just do a quick test. Sorry, I know we're getting a little off track here, but I'm getting questions about this anyway, so we'll cover it now, and then we will get back to the other questions. Yeah, okay. So yeah, it definitely has. So it used to just look like this. If we come back over here, used to just look like that. You didn't have quite as many little iterations there, and now looks like you've got a lot more little markers in here. So you still only got 3 bands. You still don't have cue control, but yeah, you've got the ability to adjust, and you can know exactly kind of where you're at. I mean, you can look at the top right corner there anyway and see where you're at, but hey, it's different. So yeah, they've definitely made some changes, and again, some may be doing good things, and some the jury's still out. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, if you have, we'll do a show probably after GarageBand Weekly tomorrow. I'll do a live show on sort of like a GarageBand update 3 days later, what we know now, because there's a lot changing. Could be interesting to see. Let's come down here. I'm sure I saw some other questions here. From Redacted. Oh, I missed it. I missed the question. There we go. redacted. Said I got an iPad Air 3 for $350 last week. How much would it How would it last me? Would be a nice idea to sell and buy a 14 iPad Pro when it comes out. Yeah, so I think the iPad Air 3 is still, it's been on my recommendation list for a while. Now that we have the iPad Air 4 with the newer chip, then that's obviously going to be better. But if you paid $350 for an iPad Air 3, it's still gonna crush it. I still use my iPad Air 2. I've been using it because I updated that to iOS 14 first before I updated my iPad Pro, and I've been using that with GarageBand, and it still works fine. Like, it still is doing well. So I wouldn't go out and rush out there. Like, remember, it's not just the gear. You don't need to have the latest and greatest gear. Definitely try it out for a while. And when you hit the point, here's the thing. If you use gear, once you hit the point where the limitations are frustrating you, then there'll be better gear available, or the older gear will be cheaper. So I know there's this temptation. There's this thing where you need to have the latest of everything. And I feel it as well. I desperately want an iPhone 12, and I don't really know why, but I do. So yeah, I get it. But no, I would play around with the iPad Air 2 for a while, and yeah, see how you go with it. And by the way, if anyone else is in the market and wants to check out my iPad guide, go to studiolivetoday.com/iPad, and you'll find my complete iPad guide over there. Question here from Arnie G. I'm working on a song in 3/4, but can't find any drum loops, and Logan or Darcy and co doesn't work either. Have I gone blind? So I don't think there has ever been any drum loops per se that are at 3/4 time. Let's do a live test here for you, Arnie G. So we'll just create a new song here. We'll throw a keyboard sound here. We'll throw something from the new pack. Have I downloaded it? Yes, I have. I tried this the other day and I hadn't downloaded. We'll get the 80s chimes going on here. Oh, I'm using AirPlay. One moment, please. And for those that are listening on the podcast, I know, I'm sorry. I'm doing a lot of visual demonstrating here today, so this may be one that you might want to come back and check out the video version of. Oh, my audio's completely dropped out now. It's not working at all. Oh, that's because I don't have my interface on. Well done, Pete. Having a rip roaring one. But let's just check out these, because all we really needed to do was to see if the loops were here. So we'll come up here and we'll go into our loops and Apple loops. Now, so here's all of our 4/4 time loops that are going to do a fine thing. So I'm just going to turn on my interface there. That should fix us up in a minute. So yeah, so you've got all of those. But if we go to 3/4 time, so if we come out here and we change our time signature to 3/4, and then go back to our loops. Oh, see, yeah, all the loops I'm getting here are just our one-shot sample loops. So none of these are actually loops. These are all just things like motorboat engines. So that's the problem. There are no 3/4 loops in there. What about drummer? I thought drummer worked, but it was just really crappy. Let's have a quick look here. We'll come to drummer. So Kyle should be able to. Yeah, so it does work. So you will get your drums there, Arnie G. But yeah, I'm not a fan of very many of the 3/4 beats. So Logan and Darcy and co. So let's just try, because you were looking for Logan. Yeah, so Logan can play a 3/4 beat, but again, it won't sound super good because. It's almost like they've just taken the first 3 beats of a 4/4 beat and just thrown it on here. So yeah, I don't think that that's going to be great. I basically program in, when I'm using 3/4 time or 6/8 or anything like that, I program in my own drums. And I would check out Jade. Jade did a series on replacing the drummer, kicking Kyle out of the band, and how you can create your own drums in GarageBand. It's not as hard as you think once you get the hang of it, once you've practiced it a little bit. So that would be my recommendation there. But good question. Good question. We'll jump back over to here. A question from John. Are we just doing open questions now? Yes. So feel free to throw a question in here. If I'll get to all the live ones before we go to the pre-recorded, not even recorded, the ones from the week. But yeah, if anyone else has any other questions, please drop them in here. I'll scroll on down. And by the way, I'm looking for the word question. So just throw a question in front if you do have a question, and then we'll be good to go. I think we may have covered all the ones that have come in live for now. Yes, we're caught up. So, yeah, and Bubba's saying, yeah, that drummer works for me. The new keyboards are good. Yeah, they really are. I'm liking the new keyboard sounds. I'm so happy that unlike the last one, sorry, I'm going to go off on a wee tangent here. Wrong way. We'll bring this one up here. Unlike the last set of keyboard sounds we got in one of the packs, I think the Vision and Verse pack. So if we come in here to the keyboard, and again, I apologize for those on the audio version, I'm showing my keyboard here, and I'm coming into the keyboard selection. The Vision and Verse had all of these keyboards that are in the other section, but they were actually terrible, because if we come in here and we play one of these, they were just samples, right? So one-shot samples, you can't really use because they cut off at different places. So the good thing about these new keyboard sounds is that they are actually patches. So they're not just a WAV file that they've hurriedly slapped on there and said it's a keyboard. They're actually patches. So when you come in here, you've got a proper actual patch there. And I realize you can't see the keys because I'm covering it with Jim's thing there. I thought I saw a question from Jade up here. Oh yes. Can I please try Final Touch live on the show and see if it opens in iOS 14? Yes. So I've had reports from folks, from Jade basically. So she said that Final Touch, the app here, not Cleft Gland, who am I thinking of? Positive Grid said that Final Touch didn't work on iOS 14. So why don't we do a live test here and see if this is indeed the case. Would like to find and connect devices on your local network. That sounds ominous. Okay. So it's opened. It seems okay here. We'll come into a spot here and play. And everyone has their problem. Seems to be okay. I'll just move some things in and out of the mix. Take all of our stuff out. It's easy to hide away and harder to find solutions. I mean, one person, one song test here, Jade, but it seems to work. I'll have to try some other things like importing and exporting. Maybe there's some things hidden under the hood that don't work. But at a glance, it does look like, yeah, Final Touch on iOS or iPadOS 14, at least 14.1 that I think I'm on now, does seem to work. So I'll do some more testing over the rest of the weekend and see how we go. Saw a question here from the Z Phones. Hello to you. Question: How do you get your YouTube video noticed? Go back to the start of the video and listen to the 5 tips I gave there. No, to be honest, in terms of video promotion, because I know that's something a lot of folks ask about, I've been involved in a lot of communities around video production and around YouTube production, learning from people what they teach, best practices. So folks like Nick and Dean Nimmin, Sean Cannell, a bunch of other folks on YouTube that are teaching YouTube, Roberto Blake. So there's a bunch of great resources. Like most things, it is about seek out the best advice, find out what the people that are doing the things you want to do are doing. Don't just copy them, but learn from them and try different things to see what works for you. And the most important thing is two-way engagement. So joining like-minded people in groups like forums and Facebook groups, not to go in and spam and just throw your video links around and hope that people come and watch, but more so to actually engage with people on the same topic. Because if you get a group of people and you're all passionate about the one thing, then that's actually going to help you promote. That's my view anyway, in my opinion. But definitely stay away from the dark arts. Like I think it was like white hat hacking versus black hat. If you know the sort of hacking world, don't do the black hat stuff. Don't pay for subscriptions. Don't do sub for sub. Don't do any of the spammy stuff, because it's not going to actually work for you in the long run. Do the good stuff. Do the engagement. Like, yes, promote your videos, but do it relevant. Do it in relevant ways. Answer people's questions with links to videos that answer their questions if you're education. And if you're entertaining, find your niche, find your tribe of people that are entertained by the same stuff that you dig, and then you'll be able to share together. And you'll make some cool friends and learn along the way as well. Question from Langston. Does the new update work on any device? It works on all the devices that iOS 13 works on. So you will need an iPhone 6S or above. You'll need an iPad Air 2 or above, any iPad Pro, the iPad Mini 4 or above, or the iPad Touch 7th or 6th generation. I can't remember, the latest iPod Touch. So they're the iOS devices that you need. Unfortunately, if you're rocking an iPhone 6, rocking an iPad Air 1, rocking an iPad Mini 3, you're SOL, which as we know means sort of out of luck. Let's see. Yeah, and Jade said Positive Grid said it wasn't working in email, Final Touch. So yeah, so maybe it was, maybe it's working now in version 14.1. Maybe that was a iOS 14 thing, because I don't think they've updated it, but maybe it's that one. Alrighty, I think we're good. We're caught up. Let's jump over. We've got a couple of we've got a few questions from during. Oh, I still have my GarageBand. Here's the thing. I'm going to show you this. I'm going to have a wee mini rant here about this. So I miss my home button in a big bad way. You can see here by the frame there that I've got my iPad Pro. And if I'm here playing, that's cool. I want to go back to my home screen. What do? Well, I flick up from the bottom. The first time I flick up, it doesn't engage that thingy. Now, I don't know if I'm doing something wrong. Tell me in the chat if I'm doing something wrong with this. Maybe I need to, like, instead of doing it, do I have to hold it longer? I don't know. No, it's not working. But there's no way that it seems for me to actually flick between things without touching an actual key. And the same thing with other apps. I'm always just touching something on an app, just trying to change. With the home button, I'd never do that because I just double tap the home button. It didn't do anything. So let me know. Is it just me and my chunky fingers, or is that an actual issue? I don't know. Let's jump over to some questions. Let's do some lightning round of these questions because, again, as I said before, I tend to take too long to say things, and I've learned over 5 years to be more succinct. But we can always improve, can't we? So let's jump in here. We've got a question from Anto. Says this is about automation. Says, "Hi, really appreciate your job. I have a question. Why does GarageBand always crash down during automation?" So I talked about this on a show from about 3 or 4 days ago about the GarageBand sound library bug, where we thought it was a bug, and then it turned out it was actually a new sound pack. It just was showing up 24 hours early before it actually was available. So what is the deal here with automation and crashing? Well, when you are automating, there is a bug at the moment that it can actually crash your whole session. What you need to do is, first of all, make sure you save before you go into automation. Then when you do go into automation, just slide the corner a couple of times. Why don't we give a quick demo since we have the iPad here? What you need to do, let's say we're here in automation. We're coming out here. We want to automate this Logan track. We'll tap on it. We'll tap on automation. And then we will tap. Now, before we tap any points here, and again, sorry for the audio listeners, what I would do is slide on and slide off the top left here, the little lock icon. Then slide it back on, then add our points, and then do our adjustments, and then slide it back off. When it seems to crash the most is when you already have some automation. So I've just automated this drummer track. If I come back in again, so first of all, save out first, hit the save button, and then come back on in, and then tap on your drum, and then hit automation. Now, before you touch any of the points, slide the little slider on, and then back off again. For whatever reason, that just engages the do not crash mechanism here in GarageBand, and it makes it crash less. And this doesn't happen all the time. As you saw, it doesn't happen on every device every time, which makes it a very annoying bug. Because, anything that only happens occasionally makes life more difficult, doesn't it? So hopefully that helps you. But yeah, that is a known bug at the moment around automation. And when I say known bug, it doesn't mean Apple have actually admitted to it, but we in the community know that it exists because it does. And I've seen it and it's happened. And plenty of people have told me about it. Let's continue on here. So I got a video about how to connect your keyboard and your mouse to your iPad or iPhone. We've got Gozul says, "Thanks for your video. I have a question for a particular situation. Could you unlock your iPhone or iPad by replacing the home button push with a keyboard plugged into the Lightning USB adapter? Thanks for your answer." So the short answer is yes, because what I've noticed, and now I don't know if this is exclusive to the Magic Keyboard, but I think I could do it on my other keyboard. The spacebar seems to wake up your iPad just like tapping the home button. So as long as you were happy to punch in your code as opposed to use your thumbprint on your home button, I think it would work. It would work. I think it would work because, and will it work here? I'm not going to no, I won't try it. But if I turned off my iPad, if instead of pressing the button or swiping the screen or whatever, I just tap the space bar on my Magic Keyboard here, then it actually does the same thing. It wakes it up and then it'll look at my face and say, "Yep, you're still ugly," and it will drop me into iOS. Sorry, bit of self-deprecating humor there. Let's continue on here. But yeah, hopefully that helps you out and give it a try. Question here. Is it possible to record voice harmony in one track with GarageBand? So this is from Momo Yate 66. Is it possible to record voice harmony in one track? So, no. Short answer, no. Long answer, yes. So if you're looking to record harmony, so say there's two of you, then yes, of course, you could both sing, capture it with one microphone, and then you've got harmony on one track. If you want to sing and then multi-layer, so overdub a second harmony track, you can't do it on that first track, but what you can do is record multiple tracks of harmony vocals and then use the merge function to merge them together. I won't show it here because it's not involved, but I've done it a heap of times. If you search my name, Pete Johns Merge, you'll find about 10 different videos on using the merge function. It's by far my favorite function in GarageBand iOS, and it's not available in GarageBand Mac. It's one of the few things that the iPad and iPhone users have over the Mac version, which is that if you're running out of tracks, or if you just want to do what you're saying here, get 3 or 4 harmony tracks and merge them down into one audio track, one stereo audio track, then you can just grab all those, merge them together, it removes the old tracks, and it gives you one stereo track with those harmony sounds, which is pretty darn cool. Let's move on. More mousing around related questions. So my favorite mouse is this one, and it's what this video was about. It's the Logitech M590. It's the silent mouse, and it's called the silent mouse because when you click it, it's pretty darn quiet. It doesn't actually make a lot of noise, even if I bring it right up to the microphone here. And yeah, so if you've ever been, watching someone live and they're live and you hear this sort of sound all the time, like it's really distracting. So when I'm using mine, I have this Logitech M590, and when I'm clicking, you can barely hear a thing. So anyway, you can go to studiolivetoday.com/gear if you want to pick one up. So Al Aimer says, thanks for the review. I have one question. If I configure the side buttons to copy and paste functions using the Logitech PC software, will the iPad have the same configuration? No. So the configuration on your PC sits on your PC or your Mac. So if you're using one of these and you've installed the drivers and you're using it on your PC or your Mac and you configure the buttons for copy and paste or whatever functions you want, and then you plug it into your iPad or iPhone, you have to reconfigure it because the iPad and the iPhone have a bunch of different things. You can still configure it, and so something that a lot of folks maybe don't know is you can actually, if you plug in a Bluetooth mouse, and like this one, it has 4 different buttons, you can actually program those buttons in to do a bunch of different things. In fact, I should probably do an updated mouse video for iOS because there's a lot of additional functions you have now here. And I think especially for those that, like using a mouse and like having a bunch of sort of cool stuff with the different buttons, you can program in your different buttons, your scroll wheel button, any of your side buttons, and even your right click to do different things in iOS. But no, it won't mirror over because it doesn't actually save those options to your mouse. It saves them to the driver software on your Mac or PC, so you will need to reset it up once you jump over onto the iPhone or iPad. Next question. This is about the new GarageBand update. Well, at least it was a question on my video about the new GarageBand update. Any way to be able to view the WAV file so it fills the screen and zoom into the WAV for fine editing? Short answer to this is no. Longer answer is that there are some ways that we can do this here in iOS. So why don't we jump back over to GarageBand and I'll show you what I mean. So if we find a project that actually has some WAV files in it, this one's not downloaded. We'll just have to wait. Hold the line, please. Your call's important to us. I'm just finding a random thing. I don't even know what this is. But if you're asking here that when you're, say, using this WAV file, if you wanted to try and come to a different part of it, can you actually zoom in? Well, no. You can zoom sideways, so you can spread your fingers until you zoom right in here and you turn snap to grid off, as you can see there if you're watching on the video, and then you can do some really fine editing. So if I wanted to cut right before this waveform, I can come here, hit the split that out and like delete out this part here. Then yeah, we can do things like that. But if you want it to be full screen downwards, that's a little bit harder to do, and that's something that we don't actually have here in GarageBand. You can't expand out. So things like Cubasis 3 and Audio Pro, you can actually spread your tracks lengthwise on the screen, not just side to side. So we don't have it here in GarageBand. What I tend to do if I'm doing some finite editing is, either just do it in like that. The other thing you may want to check out is Audio Share. Let's see if I can get my, oh, look at this. I'm becoming a pro with my Magic Keyboard. Thank you, Jade. It was a great purchase. So if we come in here and we just find some audio that we have here, whistling idea. So you get a better view here in Audio Share. And what you can do in Audio Share is go, by the way, Audio Share is an app. It's about $3 or $4 US to buy. I highly recommend it if you're a mobile creator. It does a bunch of cool stuff. So if we've got an audio file, say a WAV file in here, we go to Tools, we go to Trim and Fade. Well, what you can do with this is it brings up these things on the left and the right side. So say I wanted to trim out just a section, I can tap and drag our end handle, but if I hold on it and just rest for a moment, see how it brings me into this really fine view? And I can actually line it up to exactly where I want it and then release. And it actually does that. And then we do the same at the front handle. We tap and drag, and then we put it to where we want it. But then if we hold it without moving, it brings us into our zoomed in view. And then we can release, and then there you go. Then you can just trim this. You can save it, and you can save it as a trimmed version. And then you have just that particular WAV file. Which is me whistling. And then you can do other cool things like convert that and do a bunch of things. So I use Audio Share for converting video to audio. I use it for trimming audio. I use it for converting to compressed audio when I've got a WAV file, and sharing audio, of course, between my well, I don't have a Mac, between my PC and my iOS devices, because there's a very cool Wi-Fi share function that you can actually just set up on here, and then any other device on your wireless network can share files seamlessly across your network. It's very, very cool. Audio Share. It's about a $4 app again. I think it's $6 here in Australia, and it's worth doing. Oh, I've got a 4-part question. Here in live, I better get myself psyched up for this one, because I don't think I've ever had a 4-parter before. Let's come in here. I'll just make sure we don't have anything else. Oh, hello to look at this Capsalam bought a purple hoodie, Studio Live hoodie. We'll post photos when I get it. Awesome. Yeah, we had a couple. We had Grove Teague, who bought a couple of hoodies, and it looks like Capsalam has picked herself up a hoodie as well. That is super cool. Yeah, jump over to studiolivetoday.com/merch if you want to look as cool as me. I'm rocking the rainbow logo. Again, if you're on the audio, you can't see me, but I'm rocking the rainbow logo Studio Live Today t-shirt, which I think looks super slick. Just personally, I'm so biased though. I actually, yeah, but I like my logo, and it's a bit like your music. Like, is it big-headed to like your own music? I hope not, because you got to live with it. It's the same with my logo that I designed. I got to live with it, so hopefully I like it. Jay's got a quick question here before we get into that 4-parter. Have you tested out the issues with GarageBand and the Magic Keyboard not recognizing some taps? I haven't found it, but that might be something that we explore. I think we'll probably have a really long live stream on Monday morning or Sunday evening after the first one, after GarageBand Weekly, where I need to test out this stuff, and I'll probably invite everyone along to tell me all the things that you've heard about it, and we'll do some live testing to do that. All right, infraction. Let's go with your 4-parter. Part 1, I sometimes use screen-in-screen function to read notes, lyrics, chords whilst recording in GarageBand. Part 2, the screen you get by holding and dragging the app icon from the bar. Yeah, okay, dragging it. Yep, so the multi-view. I know you get it off screen by sliding it to the side, but this doesn't close it, and you can slide it back. And part 4 of the question, drum roll please, is does anyone know how to put that app away altogether? Close that app, not just hide it off to the side. Yeah, so the sidebar thing, to be honest, I don't use it much because I've only recently had an iPad Pro, and I use my iPhone a whole lot. I'm probably the least best person for answering questions about how to use that, but I understand what you mean where it's sort of pinned to the side. Jade Star is a pro with this. Jade, I think a future how to app series. I know you've done a video before on it. In fact, you can probably link to the one you've done before, but Jade's definitely talked about this in detail with how you can move. You can do your split screen. You can do your hover over view within screen stuff. And I think you did that in detail. I clearly didn't watch it in enough detail because I can't explain it right now. But yeah, I would jump over to Jade's video and check it out because I'm sure she's covered that in some level of detail before. But yeah, I use it occasionally sometimes too to bring up something on the side, but I'm usually using at least 2 devices at once. So what I'll usually do is instead of do that, I'll just have my iPhone if I'm using my iPad and use multiple devices. Question from Case is, are all the iOS 14 issues resolved now in GB? So all the things that I use are, and this is what we were just talking about, we'll probably do a show tomorrow where we're going to go into a bit more detail around this stuff, because I think there's a lot of folks that have got a lot of questions, and I think I just need to sit down for an hour or two and just test everything out, because I've had folks saying that some drummers are missing cymbals and some other things are happening that are weird. What did someone say this morning? One of the loops doesn't work, like the around midnight guitar loop just doesn't work randomly now. So yeah, there's some weird things going on. So we might do a whole video just on those ones. Alrighty, how are we going on time? We're running towards the end here, because don't forget, straight after this one, and if you're listening on the podcast, go and search it out, because I'll be interviewing SM Borthwick here on the channel live, and finding out about how he creates his music, and that will be a great time. So don't miss that one. Yes, exactly. An infraction saying I found a question you don't know the answer to. Wow, yeah, and it's a good question, and it's something I need to learn more about, especially now that I'm using my Magic Keyboard. I've got the iPad Pro. I've had it for like 6 months now. I should be better with this stuff, but I'm learning too. I'm continuing to be a student. And Jade, excellent. Do a whole episode on the split screen and slide over this week. There you go. Jade Star on her How to App series will have you covered. And again, if you're watching the replay, or if you're listening on the podcast, do search out Jade Star, STARR, How to App. 100 episodes in, covering everything, all the different apps, not just music, but video creation, and just some of that more day-to-day sort of how-to stuff that you need to do. If you're a mobile creator, you want to check it out. Very, very cool. Love Buzz the Band, hello to you. Question, hi Pete. Instead of uploading a brand new song on Slaps, can you post a song you've already posted? Don't know if this is clear. Tell me if I need to rephrase this. So yes, there's a repost function in Slaps. If you don't know Slaps, slaps.com is a very cool social media platform where you can actually post your songs, and it's got no link in. So it's made by DistroKid, but it doesn't link to DistroKid. So you can't just sort of post your DistroKid songs. You need to upload a new version. So you can't just download your WAV file from DistroKid and then re-upload it. That's totally cool, but it does need to be kind of a new thing. So keep that in mind. There's a repost function. So if you've already shared it, you can repost it, and that kind of just puts it back to the top of people's feeds in case no one got to see it the first time and you want to do more. So yeah, you can do that. But yeah, otherwise you can just upload a new way. If you've done a new version of it, I would just remove the old one. In fact, I've got to do this with my song New Beginning, because I uploaded a demo version of it. Or maybe I'll just leave the demo version there, but I haven't uploaded the full finished version of it. So you can do that as a second upload if you want to as well. Alrighty. And yes, Jade has put a link there. Whoops, I've missed it. I missed the one, missed the right button. Jade has put a link there with the interview with SM Borthwick that's coming up just after this one. Capsalam says, what about the FabFilter app series? Any videos coming up, or have I just missed them? I haven't checked out any of the FabFilter stuff, to be honest. I was talking to Jade about this because she's really excited about GeoShred at the moment, and I'm like, there are just so many apps. There's too many apps and too many plugins and not enough time. And unfortunately, I kind of have to sacrifice at times between the stuff that I want to make, so the music that I want to make and the videos I want to make, and having the time to do all the things. I didn't mention it at the start there, but it's probably a good thing to keep in mind. I did mean to mention it. When you are creating videos or even creating music, you can get into this habit. Like if I created, I could probably work out exactly the sort of videos that everyone wants to see and just make those videos over and over again. But after 5 years and the last 2 years creating a video every day, I would probably have burnt out by now. So I think my method has been to focus in on different things that are going to make me happy. Some things that I know aren't really going to appeal to a whole bunch of people, but I know there'll be a little subsection of people that are nerdy like me and will love it. And then, of course, sometimes doing the things like the GarageBand reviews, because when a new GarageBand comes out, folks are expecting me to cover it. But yeah, there's a bunch of different apps by FabFilter. I know I haven't ever touched any of the 4 Pocket stuff. Yeah, I'm a bit limited. I haven't, definitely not Doug from the sound test room. He reviews everything. Like if you want to know everything about everything, go check out Doug. He's on finger on the pulse as far as all the new stuff goes. But yeah, unfortunately, I focus more on trying to sort of keep my head above water and cover things that I use rather than going out and testing every new thing. But it's a great suggestion. I should definitely check them out in the future. Russ says that the Pro Q3 is my most used fab filter. Absolutely. Let's continue on. In fact, let's continue on by finishing up because that is going to be the end here. We did have some more questions, but they will have to wait till next week's show. We will be back again next week. If you got some value out of this one, if you had some fun, if you learnt a thing or two, hit the like button. That just makes me feel good. It might make you feel good too. And it tells me that I should continue doing this show. Don't forget, we are 50 plus episodes in, so you can go back and check out the complete catalog of the what are we called? GarageBand. Q&A, Home Studio Q&A. Remember the name of your own show, Pete. Home Studio Q&A. You can check out the complete series. You can subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, all the places that good podcasts are available. And, of course, head over to studiolivetoday.com. There you can check out the merch store and buy yourself a Studio Live Today hoodie or t-shirt or mug. And you can check out the gear guide as well if you're in the market for some home studio gear. There'll be some affiliate links there. If you make a purchase, they break off a chunk, they send it my way. You're getting new gear, you're supporting the channel, everyone's happy. Thanks everyone for being here. I do appreciate you, and we are going to finish off there. If you are here live, we do have, again, the interview with SM Borthwick coming up straight after this one in about 10 minutes time. We then have GarageBand Weekly tomorrow. Oh, and don't forget the happy hour, Grunge Edition. Happy Hour Grunge Edition happening in about 4 hours' time. I'll give you another heads up about that one on the... Well, actually, I won't. I won't talk about that on the SM Borthwick interview, so remember it now. Alrighty, thanks, folks. Please be kind to yourself. Be kind to others. Have a great day. Keep creating, and I'll see you real soon. Bye for now.